I'm carrying the child of the devoted second male lead, but when I was hemorrhaging during a difficult labor, he was by the female lead's side, showering her with attention. I was in excruciating pain, my body growing cold. In that instant my soul left my body. I muttered to myself, if I could do it all over again, I'd never feel sorry for a man. I opened my eyes again. I had somehow been reborn at the beginning of the story. At that time, the male and female leads were deeply in love, seemingly a pair of playful rivals. The gentle second male lead, Suyenha, is the childhood friend of the female lead, Lin Yuyu, and has always silently protected her. In the book, he is a classic example of the beautiful, strong, and tragic character. Coming from a single-parent family, his mother was seriously ill. He studied while earning money to support the family and pay for his mother's treatment. His life experiences included his mother's death, failing the college entrance exam, and business failures. As the devoted second male lead, he was the female lead's eternal haven, her strongest support. After the male and female leads got married, he left for a foreign country, achieving the fate of eternal solitude. The character has earned the reader's tears. I've always been drawn to gentle and affectionate characters. After finishing the novel, I couldn't help but feel deeply sorry for him. In my previous life, after I died, I mysteriously transmigrated into a novel and became a beautiful extra. My reason tells me not to get involved in their story and just be a quiet background character, but in the end, emotion triumphed over reason. Perhaps out of a sense of shared suffering, I couldn't help but be drawn to Suyenha. I willingly chose to protect him, to redeem him with everything I had. I would have given him my very heart and soul, yet all of that was no match for the female lead's tearful plea. Brother Xiaohe, I miss you so much. So, Suyenha abandoned me, waiting to give birth in the hospital, to go comfort the female lead, who had run away after a fight with the male lead. Amidst the violent emotional turmoil, my water broke and then, they died on the cold, sterile operating table. Too, I made a conscious choice to distance myself from the main cast. Suyenha quickly sensed that something was off. After all, I was the one who had been shamelessly clinging to him, forcing myself into their group. The sudden estrangement was so obvious that even bystanders noticed something was wrong. My top-performing classmate quietly asked me if I had a fight with Suyenha and the others. I patted the exercise book and smiled generously. Of course not. It's just that I need to hit the books. Finals are coming up soon, and I really don't want to be at the bottom of the class again. As soon as I finished speaking, I felt an intense gaze from the front row boring into me. I didn't need to guess. I knew it was Suyenha. He'd been stealing glances at me for days now, always looking like he had something to say but couldn't bring himself to say it. But it was obvious he was afraid Lin Yuyu might get the wrong idea, so he didn't dare approach me directly. In my past life, I was a fool and a glutton for punishment, thinking I could be his salvation. Little did I know I'd end up in such a laughable, pathetic state. Now, I can't even muster the will for revenge. First, I want absolutely nothing more to do with the main cast. Second, I simply lack the ambition and the nerve for villainy. All I want now is to fully enjoy the wonderful life I have. After dying twice, I've come to cherish life even more. Life is hard to come by, whether in the real world or the world of books. I've never truly lived freely in my previous life. Before I transmigrated into a book, I was clearly my mother's precious treasure, but back then, I had congenital leukemia, my father left, and my mother had to work incredibly hard to earn money, raising me alone. But then I was only 15. When I fell to my death, Mom must have been heartbroken. As I thought about it, my nose tingled, and tears almost fell. Suddenly, Lin Yuyu's sweet voice sounded behind me. Gugu, why haven't you been playing with us lately? Did you have a fight with Xiaohe? I looked up and found myself meeting Suyenha's probing gaze from not far away. In the next moment, I gave him the middle finger and mouthed silently, "You dumbass." His smile froze, and he stared at me in disbelief. 3. Seeing the female lead's innocent expression, I smiled faintly. "Yes, we had a fight, and it was a pretty nasty one." "Ah, how could this be?" She looked surprised, but there was a hint of delight in her expression. "Indeed, she's young and hasn't learned to hide her thoughts yet." Because I acted both sad and angry. "I found out he likes you, so I don't want to like him anymore." When Lin Yuyu heard this, her face turned pale, and she nervously looked around. After a while, she stammered in her defense, "Ah, Gugu, what are you talking nonsense about? I've always seen Xiaohe as a brother, and he definitely sees me as a sister. We're just very good friends. Don't spread rumors." As she spoke, her confidence waned, clearly showing her guilt. I found it a bit amusing. Everyone could tell that Suyenha liked her. Could she really be completely oblivious to it? In the end, it's just using the guise of siblings to act like lovers, not rejecting, not initiating, not committing, as long as she doesn't tear down that veil, she can enjoy Suyenha's kindness without restraint. Tired of watching her face turn green and red, I grabbed my vocabulary book and went out to study. I brushed past Suyenha as he walked by. He tried to hold me back. I cursed, "Get lost." The gentle smile on his face completely vanished, replaced by a thin-lipped anger mixed with confusion. The male lead, Chinyi, came over to join the fun, intending to mock Suyenha. "Me? Get lost, you too, pathetic loser who can't even keep his own wife in check." I hate every single member of the main cast with equal passion. Chinyi was startled. He turned around and trudged sulkily towards Lin Yuyu. "She-devil, what's gotten into her?" I shoved Suyenha out of my way and stormed out of the classroom. For the next few days, everyone kept to themselves without incident, but we were like complete strangers. After school that day, I went to the alley as usual to feed a Fei. A Fei is a wary stray orange cat. I planned to take him home after I'd fed him enough. In my previous life, both Lin Yuyu and I wanted to adopt him. A Fei was about to come with me, but Suyenha intervened. Under his repeated persuasion, I gave a Fei to Lin Yuyu, but since Chinyi dislikes cats, she casually handed the cat over to Suyenha to take care of. I took the opportunity to claim it. This time, I'm definitely going to act first. Just as I reached the mouth of the alley, I heard Lin Yuyu's sweet, tinkling laugh. "Wow, Xiaohe, this cat is so adorable, I really want to take it home." I hurried over at a jog and caught her hand before she could grab the cat. "Don't touch it, Chubby here bites." She reluctantly withdrew her hand and asked unhappily, "Oh, Goo, is this your cat? Ha, talk about a quick change of tune." Finally stopped calling me Goo Goo. Sounded like a pigeon that had gained sentience. "Yes, it's my cat," I replied flatly, squatting down to put out the cat food. Lin Yuyu bit her lip and said timidly, "But it looks like a stray to me. Why don't I give it a home?" "No way." I refused flatly. "This is my cat, I'm taking it home." I refused to give up the cat, and Lin Yuyu was dead set on having it. Suyenha gave her a helpless yet affectionate look. He politely said to me, "Goo classmate, could you take this cat?" I couldn't be bothered to waste words with them and just picked up a Fei and left. Strangely, a Fei didn't struggle this time and was unusually obedient. Seeing me about to take the cat away, Lin Yuyu got anxious. She persisted in her coquettish plea, "Xiaohe Goo, help me out, please." Suyenha chuckled and sighed. "Tisk, there's no dealing with you." So he caught up to me, blocking my way, and once again employed his usual gentle charm. Looking at the boy with his gentle smile, I hated him with every fiber of my being. It was this exact expression, so tender yet so shattered, that ensnared me. Life after life I stood by him through the loss of his mother. I supported him as he recovered from failing the college entrance exam. I gave him my all. It was him who confessed to me first, which led me to develop those forbidden thoughts about him. It was also him who proposed to me, promising me a lifetime together. But why is he still entangled with Lin Yuyu at this moment? The pain and sorrow of my past life surged to the forefront of my mind. The resentment could no longer be suppressed. With a loud slap, I couldn't help but raise my hand and give him a hard slap. "Man of low character." "Ah, Goo, how could you hit someone?" Lin Yuyu shrieked in outrage. Suyenha's head was knocked to the side. A fingernail had scratched his chin, and beads of blood were welling up. I withdrew my hand, the sensation still lingering. "This slap is for your cold-hearted betrayal, for your shallow and faithless nature." Lin Yuyu was heartbroken and angrily accused me of being malicious, saying that if she couldn't have something, she would destroy it, then call the police. I retorted with a smile, "Also, what does 'if you can't have it, you destroy it' mean? I don't understand. Why don't you explain the whole story to me, Lin?" "Oh, as if she could explain it. If she explained, wouldn't that just tear the veil apart right in front of us? How could she still be siblings with Suyenha then?" Indeed, Lin Yuyu immediately lost her composure, looking at me in a panic, afraid I might say something I shouldn't. "Tsk, she's feeling guilty for her misdeeds, but how could I possibly remind Suyenha this is the fate he deserves?" Remembering that Aunt Wang was waiting in the car, I pulled out a few 100 yuan bills from my backpack because I didn't want to get too close to the two of them. The bills fluttered to the ground. "Classmate Su, this is for your medical expenses. Is it enough? If not, I can add more." "Do you? Don't go too far." Lin Yuyu was furious again. "Being rich doesn't make you better than anyone. Apologize to Xiaohe right now." I ignored her and sized up Suyenha. Even a clay figurine has its limits. The gentler and kinder someone is, the more earth-shattering their Anger becomes, after being with him for so many years in my past life, I know him all too well. What he hates most is having his dignity trampled on, and now, I'm doing exactly that. He was indeed furious, his face dark and terrifying despite the anger practically bursting from his eyes. He still smiled and reassured the female lead that it was okay, truly a devoted second male lead. I rolled my eyes and walked away without looking back, holding Fatty in my arms. 5. I want to transfer schools, after all. As long as I remain within the main character's sphere of activity, I'm bound to cross paths with them. One wrong move and you'll get tangled up in their love-hate drama. It's fun to watch from the sidelines, but not so much when you're the one acting. My role in the story is a wealthy, beautiful side character. After my parents passed away, they left behind a huge fortune, and my unrelated uncle became my guardian in my past life. I didn't interact much with this uncle, all I knew was that he was very mysterious, always appearing and disappearing like a dragon. As soon as I turned 18, he immediately terminated the guardianship, handed over the entire fortune, and we had no further contact. With this inheritance, Su Yenhan not only avoided failure after graduating from university but also expanded his business, eventually going public in the business world. Everyone addresses him as Mr. Su. In contrast, the male lead Chen Yi, who runs a game studio, seems somewhat overshadowed. Lin Yu envies my life of luxury, longing for the glamorous social gatherings of the upper class, while Su Yen's immense wealth also benefits her and Chen Yi. I know the Lin family did him a favor, and he wants to repay that kindness. As long as he doesn't go too far, I'll turn a blind eye. However, he crossed the line. A despicable wretch who crossed the line is not worth forgiving. In my previous life, I had planned to divorce after giving birth, but I never expected to die in childbirth. Could this be the price I paid for altering the plot? As I was lost in melancholy thoughts, my phone suddenly rang. I looked at the number and was puzzled. He actually called me on his own. How strange. As soon as I answered, my uncle's deep, magnetic voice came through. Did you get into a fight at school? I was completely baffled and quickly denied it. No, I didn't. Your homeroom teacher called me and said you hit someone. He didn't sound happy. Oh, so the main characters went to tattle, thinking about how I need this guy's signature to transfer schools. I can't afford to upset him. Just as I was racking my brains for an excuse to get out of this, he suddenly ordered, "Turn on your camera." Turn on the video. I need to see if you're hurt. Before I could even reply, he had already hung up. In the next second, a video call invitation immediately appeared on the phone. 6. I answered without thinking. In an instant, a stunning beauty appeared on the screen, and I instinctively held my breath. He was impeccably dressed in a suit, standing tall and elegant, holding a wine glass in his hand, as if attending some kind of cocktail party. His eyes sparkled with laughter, but the warmth didn't reach his eyes. Beneath his sharp demeanor, there was a hidden calculation. "Little uncle," I called softly. He turned his head, his posture languid, and gave me a thorough, scrutinizing once over. Then, with a smile, he said, "No harm done, as expected of my person. What happened? Tell me." After saying that, I carefully chose my words and told a simple lie, saying it was just a conflict between classmates. Without wasting another second, I immediately apologized. "I'm so sorry, it was my fault, I shouldn't have hit anyone." He shot me a sharp look, his tone drawn out and lazy. "Did I say you were wrong? It was just a slap. Your homeroom teacher is acting like the school blew up. In my opinion, you're being too lenient with that guy. Next time something like this happens, let me know, and I'll have someone chop his hand off and feed it to the dogs." I was shocked. What? He raised an eyebrow. "What, do you want to do it yourself? It's not entirely out of the question." He paused slightly, actually considering the feasibility. "But a young lady like you really shouldn't be involved in all this fighting and violence." I was utterly shocked and completely baffled. "Wow, you're a real piece of work, aren't you? The hypocrisy is legendary. Anything else? If not, I've got to go. The old man needs dealing with." He raised his glass to me and downed the red wine in one go. Yes, I blurted out urgently. "Uncle, I want to transfer schools." He paused, his movements halting as he stared at me for a moment. "Oh, not chasing after your little boyfriend anymore? Sworn off love?" His words left me with a strange, unsettled feeling. How did he even know that? Has he been spying on me all along? Probably because my suspicious look was too obvious. His face suddenly darkened, and he started to shoo me away irritably. "If you want to transfer, go ahead, go find Lister, he'll handle everything." List is his personal assistant. "Also, I'll be returning home next month. We need to have a talk about your academic performance. you'd better have a good explanation for why your grades are so abysmal. How are my grades abysmal? Although I'm at the bottom of my class, at least I'm still in the top 100 of the grade. Just as I was about to argue with him, he tossed his phone to Lister, leaving me with only a cold, indifferent. Back in the frame, Lister smiles awkwardly but politely. Me, grumpy old man, you deserved it for not even holding a woman's hand by the age of 30 in your previous life. 7. Bored, I started tidying up the storage room. I threw everything related to Su Yenha straight into the trash. Nanny Wang brought me a fruit smoothie and urged me to take a break. Let me clean this up, miss, sip it slowly, now, don't choke. I couldn't wait to take a big gulp of the milkshake, my eyes closing in comfort. It's so good. The long-missed taste of Mom's cooking. Every chemotherapy session for leukemia was incredibly painful, and Mom would make me a milkshake to cheer me up. She originally couldn't cook at all, but for me, she practiced diligently from cookbooks and became an excellent chef. She was also a top graduate from Keita, and after her divorce, she had many suitors. Without me, she could have had a much brighter life. If I die, she will definitely be very sad. But what use is a daughter like me, who is willful and unfilial, just a burden in the stillness? Aunt Wang suddenly spoke up. Miss, I think that Su's classmate has a face that suggests he's bad for marriage. You shouldn't like him. I couldn't help but laugh. Aunt Wang, you can even read faces. That's impressive. She became a bit anxious. Miss, I'm not joking. This man looks cold and unfeeling. You're such a wonderful girl. Don't fall for him. I nodded in agreement. Indeed, he's not a good person, so rest assured, I definitely won't like him. She breathed a sigh of relief. A warm feeling surged through me, and I was overjoyed. It feels so good to be cared for and remembered. Speaking of Aunt Wang, she's a character I've only met in this life. I didn't encounter her in my previous life, probably just a minor figure. 2 months ago, I collapsed on the side of the road with a fever, and she was the one who found me and took me to the hospital. She said she had come to the city to look for her daughter. Her daughter had been missing for a long time. She even had nightmares about her being swindled out of her money and virtue by a scumbag, only to die in childbirth. Sadly, she was illiterate and had searched for a long time without finding any work to make a living. I felt an immediate connection with her as she finished speaking. Alas, another poor mother. So, I invited her to tend to the plants at my home. Thinking of this, I scratched my head and asked her cautiously, have you heard from your daughter? Should I help you look for her? She gave a wry smile and sighed, shaking her head and nodding at the same time, but there was no sign of disappointment on her face. Instead, she looked at me with complete seriousness. Actually, as long as she is doing well, healthy, and lively, I'm fine with it. Even if she's not by my side, all I hope is that she can be happy and live a fulfilling life. With that, she looked at me with loving eyes. I awkwardly turned my head away. Could she possibly be mistaking me for her daughter? I don't mind, but that young lady would be heartbroken if she knew, being unintentionally replaced and deprived of her mother's love. But seeing the eager, joyful look on Auntie Wang's face, I thought better of it and kept my mouth shut. Oh well, let her have her fun. 8. To my surprise, List flew back overnight. Early the next morning, I spotted his car at the school gate. He gestured for me to get in the car to talk. I opened the car door, only to be surprised to see my little uncle. He lounged lazily in the seat, his head slightly lowered, exuding an air of both elegance and danger, with an aura that warned others to stay away. I'm torn about whether to wake him up. His morning temper is huge. List has already spoken up. Boss, the lady is here. Lowly, you're really very thoughtful. Uncle opened his eyes, and his expression was indeed unpleasant. List quickly took the hint and left, giving me a look that said, good luck. I wanted to make a quick escape too, but the man behind me grabbed my backpack strap. He gave the seat next to him a pat, his face expressionless. Sit down. I braced myself and slowly, reluctantly, took the seat. Have you eaten? He asked condescendingly. I have, but I haven't, I choked, tentatively asking, shall I take you out to eat? He snorted coldly and ignored me. After a while, he suddenly asked, how old are you this year? I replied shamelessly with a grin, I'll be turning 17 next month. He then gave me a cryptic look, half smiling. 17 already, time flies, only one more year to go. I thought he was talking about custody. Thinking about how he's taken care of me all these years, I happily started spouting flattery. Hey, even without blood ties, you'll always be my dearest little uncle. I'll take care of you in your old age. He laughed in exasperation. I'm only 7 years older than you. Do I need you to take care of me in my old age? Of course, you're handsome, loaded, and capable of anything, uncle. What use could you possibly have for a nobody like me? I continued shamelessly with the flattery. He was silent for a moment, then abruptly changed the subject. Do you remember why your guardianship ended up with me? How would I know? When I transmigrated into this world, there was only an old butler and a few nannies around. You had long since packed up and gone abroad for further studies, and in my previous life, no one ever mentioned this matter. Seeing that I remained silent, he simply answered his own question. It seems you don't remember. Never mind, we'll talk about it when you go to university. He had made up his mind not to say anything more. It only served to pique my curiosity. Could there be some hidden plot here that I'm unaware of? Just as I was about to speak, he suddenly leaned in close. The cool scent of his cologne, mingled with the aroma of red wine, enveloped me completely. In an instant my mouth suddenly felt dry, and I couldn't help but lick my lips. It's getting late, you should head to school. I've been traveling all night and need to catch some sleep. He stretched out his long arm, and I thought he was going to open the car door for me, so I quickly moved aside. To my surprise, he just took the CD calcium milk from the side of my backpack and then mercilessly kicked me out of the car. I hate adults who lack boundaries. 9. Lister took the apology letters I copied from everywhere to the dean's office. Want me to apologize to Su Yenha in person? No way. I was aimlessly wandering around the playground. After just a few laps, I saw the main group heading this way. Guyu, stop right there, Lin Yuyu shouted from a distance. As soon as she finished speaking, she and Chinyi surrounded me from both sides. I frowned impatiently, thinking, what terrible luck, they just won't leave me alone. Su Yenha walked over, his gaze fixed on me. I heard you're transferring schools. He smiled gently, but his eyes were cold. What's it to you? I retorted sarcastically right away. Who do you think you are to question me? Su Yenha hadn't said anything yet, but Lin Yuyu was having none of it. Xiaohe, why are you even talking to her? Make her apologize. Now, what right does she have to freeze that card? Doesn't she know that's your mother's lifeline? I think she did it on purpose. The card? What card? Oh, right, I remember now. I did give Su Yenha a card once, for his mother's medical treatment, but I definitely didn't deactivate it. Ever since I came back to life, I hadn't even remembered it existed. I took a deep breath and said to Su Yenha with utmost seriousness, no matter if you believe me or not, I didn't do this. Lin Yuyu, hearing this, became quite agitated and spoke with righteous indignation. It's your card. If you didn't do it, then who did? Chinyi tugged at her arm, signaling for her to tone it down. She was clearly caught up in the heat of the moment, acting like a self-righteous crusader and launching into a moralistic tirade from her high horse. Give them an inch, and they'll take a mile. I was left utterly speechless as more and more students gathered on the playground. I started to feel annoyed. Su Yenha, please move aside, I want to go back. He remained motionless, his sharp eyes fixed on me. I didn't come to ask about that card. I just want to ask you one thing. I can't figure out why you suddenly started to dislike me so much, or rather, he suddenly leaned in and whispered very softly in my ear, you actually hate me, don't you? The tone was utterly certain. In that moment, my heart leapt up, almost jumping out of my chest. His current aloof and detached demeanor, stripped of its usual gentle undertone, began to merge with the cold, indifferent version of him from his past life. Could it be that he has been reborn as well? No, impossible. I mustn't panic and jump to conclusions. No, even though my heart was in turmoil, I denied it with a blank expression. I don't hate you, I deliberately sneered, whispering, I look down on you. I realized I was wrong, so now, I'm just waking up and correcting my mistake. 10. Well done, Guyu, you're doing great. Su Yenha glared at me with clenched teeth, his fists tightly gripped, and veins bulging on his forehead. What do you take me for? A toy you can summon and dismiss at will, or a whim of yours, playing with people's lives as if it's charity? You overestimate yourself, I interrupted bluntly. Even if it's a toy, I paid for it to entertain me, while you can't even spare a kind word to humor me. How dare you claim to be a toy when it's far more noble than you? At his words, Su Yenha's gaze turned sharp as a blade, as if he wanted to slice me in half. Lin Yuyu couldn't hear what we were saying, but she saw her Xiaohegi's face turn ashen, his expression furious. Ignoring Chinye's attempts to stop her, she loudly shouted, why do you keep bullying Xiaohe? Gu, just because Xiaohe doesn't like you, you first hit him for no reason, and then deliberately cut off his mother's medical expenses. You clearly know how hard he works to earn money for his mother's treatment. As soon as this was said, the crowd watching immediately erupted. It started with whispers and pointed fingers, then the accusations grew louder, more numerous, and utterly unrestrained those words came flying at me, thick and fast, like razor blades. I was completely stunned. How long has it been since I last faced a scene like this, even though it was a long time ago? I remember it all too clearly. Back then, because of the chemotherapy, I had lost all my hair and my appearance had become unsightly. They would snatch off my wig on purpose, taunting me and calling me a freak. They'd pair me up with the filthiest boy in class, exaggeratedly mimic the way I moved when I had an episode, and point and whisper right in front of me. It was a rainy afternoon, I think. They cornered me again for their amusement. In the scuffle, I fell over the railing from the 7th floor. The howling wind and piercing screams crashed into my ears, plunging the world into darkness in an instant. Was I really about to relive the same nightmare here? In that split second, the helplessness, terror, and despair of facing death came crashing down on me once more. I couldn't stop trembling. No, I can't overthink this. I need to stay calm. I need to find a way out of this mess. You're shivering from the cold. Why didn't you dress warmer? In the midst of my chaotic thoughts, a coat suddenly fell over my head, wrapping me up completely. The familiar scent of a cool, crisp perfume washed over me. He stood by my side, as if walking against the light. What are you afraid of? If someone bullies you, just fight back. I've got your back, and remember, only the child who cries gets candy. 11. My uncle stood with one hand in his pocket, the other shielding me behind him, while Lister followed closely by his side, a man of his stature, who could navigate both the white and black markets, was far beyond what Qingyi or Su Yanhe could achieve at their current stage. Just a hint of his imposing presence was enough to subdue these naive high school students. He scanned the room with a playful gaze, but his eyes narrowed slightly when he spotted Su Yanhe. If there's anything, you can talk to me. I'll take care of it for her. Lin Yuyu's face flushed for no apparent reason, and she shyly stepped forward first, saying, hello, I'm Guyu's classmate. My name is Lin Yuyu. We. The thing is actually like this. She stumbled through her explanation. The young uncle listened with an impassive expression. To him, this whole farce must have seemed as childish as a kid's game, yet I felt utterly defeated and at a loss. It seems I can never escape the nightmare of the real world, even though it happened in a life before the last. The slightest trigger now can amplify my fear infinitely because I've never overcome it. Long ago, my mother was my shield in my past life. This character was my shield, with a massive inheritance, superior social status, and an incredibly powerful younger uncle as my backing, so no one dared to bully or provoke me. Now that I'm starting over, I still hide behind others, protected. I couldn't help but look up at the man standing in front of me. His tall figure blocked all the malicious gazes and the torrent of insults that should have been hurled at me. Suddenly, my heart calmed down. No one is born strong, everyone starts from nothing. Even my uncle, who was once exiled from the family, taken in by Grandpa Gu, and later returned as a strong figure to reclaim his position as the heir, had endured step by step, gritting his teeth through it all. I used to struggle with the boundary between reality and illusion, using setups to hide my cowardice, clumsiness, and insignificance, afraid of being discovered as the ugly, flawed person I once was. I've also been stuck in a rut, completely denying my own existence, even placing my hopes for a vibrant and happy life on others. At this thought, I instinctively glanced at Su Yanhe, only to find him staring straight at me. Our eyes met, yet I was utterly calm, with not a ripple of disturbance in my heart, for I had suddenly seen the light. The past was me, the future will be me, too. The present is reality, I think, therefore I am. 12. I suddenly yanked off my coat and strode forward. Since it's a nightmare, I should be the one to break it apart bit by bit. The first punch might as well start with this farce. Seeing this, my little uncle silently took a step back, giving me the space. After receiving his approving and encouraging glance, I cleared my throat and raised my voice. It was indeed my fault for hitting someone. I might have been too scared at the time, worried that the little cat would be taken away, and in a moment of impulse, I got into a conflict with Su and his friends. I've already made a deep self-criticism with our homeroom teacher and am willing to apologize to Su. As long as I don't say I'm sorry, it doesn't count as an apology. I have never cut off the medical expenses for Su's mother. That bank card was indeed given by me to Su, and it contains all the pocket money I've saved, roughly around $1 million or so. It was a free donation for Su's mother's treatment, and I won't take it back. It's just a small amount of money, don't worry about it. Regarding why the money couldn't be withdrawn, I will investigate and provide an explanation to everyone. I will post clarifying notes all over the school. I don't like Su, and I certainly wouldn't hold a grudge out of love. The donation was purely out of sympathy, You and Lin Yu should stay together and not harm anyone else. That's how it is. The innocent need no defense, and I have a clear conscience." As soon as I said it, I felt a sense of relief. I finally faced the deep, raw scar within me and courageously looked at myself, fearless and carefree. The crowd was murmuring amongst themselves when suddenly someone shouted out, "Some people do good deeds without asking for anything in return, while others contribute nothing but their mouths, just yapping away and dishing out moral blackmail." Once someone took the lead, others naturally chimed in, "Exactly, without knowing the truth, you'd think they were truly heinous villains. Even if someone is rich, it's their family's money, they can donate if they want, or not if they don't. Why are the people collecting the money making demands? We're all classmates. How can you slander someone without distinguishing right from wrong?" Our class monitor also stepped forward. "Lin, I think you should apologize to Gu. Do not do to others what you do not want done to yourself. We can't let those who do good feel disheartened." Lin Yu looked around in disbelief, only to find everyone glaring at her reproachfully. Overwhelmed with, her eyes welled up with tears, and she ran out of the crowd sobbing. Chinyi quickly chased after her. The bell rang for class, and everyone on the playground quickly dispersed. Only Su Yanhe remained standing in place. He took a step forward, about to approach me. I pretended not to notice and immediately turned around, pouting, "Uncle, I'm so tired, I really want to go home." "Then go home and get some rest. A brave girl can afford to be a little willful once in a while." He patted my head with a smile, giving List a subtle, meaningful glance. The other man immediately stepped forward to block Su Yanhe's path. When we were already quite far away, Su Yanhe suddenly mustered all his strength and shouted at my retreating back, "Gu Yu, I will definitely pay you back that million plus in the future. I don't owe you anything." 13. The reason for the card being deactivated is easy to find. It's because Su Yanhe used it for part-time job, online sales boosting, resulting in excessive transactions. The bank suspected him of money laundering and fraud, so they froze the card. I asked List to handle this matter for me, and also told him to let Su Yanhe know that if he insists on repaying the money, he should donate it to children in the mountainous regions in my name. A week later, I transferred to a high school in the capital. Nanny Wang and the old butler moved here with me as well. Ever since I left all those troublesome people and matters behind, the sky seems bluer, the grass greener, and even the wrinkles on the old butler's face look utterly endearing. I'm in a cheerful mood every day. Though Nanny Wang didn't know what had happened, she shared in my joy. She was remarkably clever. Despite being illiterate, she picked up everything quickly and soon had my preferences and tastes figured out perfectly. She was also very wise. Though she spoke little, she always had a way of cutting through the confusion and seeing things clearly. It was as if she understood me better than I understood myself. Gradually, she took over all aspects of my daily care, never delegating the task to anyone else. Yet, she would often gaze at me, lost in thought, her eyes filled with a sorrowful yet contented look. It was as if she was looking through me, seeing another person she longed for day and night. I understood she was thinking of her daughter. I asked my little uncle to help find her daughter, and he gave me a strange look for a long time, but thankfully he didn't refuse. 14. A year has passed in the blink of an eye. On my 18th birthday, I received a call from an unknown number. "Hello," I greeted politely. The person on the other end remained silent, only the sound of his hurried and nervous breathing could be heard. "Hello." I thought it was one of my classmates playing a prank, so I called out several times. The person remained silent. In the living room, Aunt Wang was calling me to make a wish and cut the cake. I was about to hang up the phone. Suddenly, the person spoke, his voice hoarse. "Happy birthday." This time, it was my turn to remain silent. I just remembered, in my past life, when I was with Su Yanhe, I rarely celebrated my birthday. Only my little uncle never failed to send his birthday wishes and a gift every year because Su Yanhe's mother passed away around this time. Her death anniversary is just 2 days before my birthday, right before the college entrance exams. Perhaps out of basic human decency, I should offer Su Yanhe my condolences now, but I no longer want to feel sorry for men because feeling sorry for men will only bring bad luck for a lifetime. Probably realizing I was about to hang up, he suddenly grew anxious and urgently asked, "Which school do you plan to apply to?" I was thinking. Unfortunately, I cut him off before he could finish speaking. I also blocked the number in one swift move, all in one go. 15. As the birthday party was winding down, List came over and told me that my uncle had a gift waiting for me on the rooftop. The rooftop was a sprawling sky garden, where fresh seasonal flowers were flown in monthly with their soil intact and carefully replanted. I went up to the rooftop, only to find it completely deserted. I searched every nook and cranny but found no gift. The high heels and long dress just left me exhausted and drenched in sweat. I was feeling a bit discouraged and decided to go downstairs to get to the bottom of things with Lister. Suddenly, a powerful beam of light pierced through the clouds, shining straight down from the distant sky, illuminating the surroundings as bright as day. The roar of the helicopter's rotors grew louder as it descended from the sky, its powerful downdraft making it hard to keep one's eyes open and causing everything to sway precariously. A tall figure slowly emerged from the helicopter's doorway. He slightly leaned down, extending a hand to me like a gentleman. "Come up, I'll take you for a ride." I carefully lifted my skirt and stepped forward, gently placing my hand in his large one, but he suddenly pulled hard, and I stumbled, accidentally falling into his embrace. The lipstick on my lips immediately left a bright red mark on his chest. The pilot, a foreigner, let out a suggestive whistle at the sight. My cheeks burned instantly, my heart pounded, and I had no idea where to look. Thankfully, my uncle didn't seem to notice and calmly gave the order for takeoff. I breathed a huge sigh of relief, silently berating myself. "Guyu, oh Guyu, he's your little uncle. What are you thinking about?" The helicopter soared above the city. Below it were countless brightly lit homes, dazzling and beautiful. As fireworks exploded outside the window, he handed me a bag of documents with a slightly mysterious smile, his expression carrying deeper meaning. "Happy birthday, your 18th birthday gift, but don't open it yet, wait until you're in college, lol. I've seen this document envelope in my past life. It's that massive inheritance. He probably doesn't want me to open it because it might mess with my head before the college entrance exams." "Okay, thanks, handsome and loaded uncle." The thought of the unimaginable fortune inside instantly made me super sweet-tongued. He immediately flicked my forehead. "Our guardianship is over." He seemed to emphasize this sentence heavily. "Stop calling me little uncle. You're making me sound old and ruining my romantic luck." He gazed at me meaningfully, his eyes as dark as ink. I rubbed my forehead and secretly pouted. "You've never had any romantic luck to begin with. How can you blame me for that? You look like you're not convinced." He forced a smile. "Not at all," I stubbornly denied. Hee. "What should I call you from now on?" I immediately asked humbly. "As you wish, Chi Zian," I probed. He didn't respond. "Brother Chi." He gave me a cold stare. "Brother Zian, little brother Yen." I suddenly got carried away with playfulness and started calling out names randomly, getting more and more into it, but didn't notice his increasingly strange look. Later, he told me that actually, that day, he would have preferred to hear me call out somewhere else. "You pervert." 16. After the college entrance exam, I received my admission letter from Tsinghua University. During the 2-month summer vacation, I went on a wild tour across the country with Wang Ma and the old butler. I realized that I seemed to be becoming more and more dependent on Wang Ma. When she wasn't around while we were playing, I felt a bit empty inside. Whenever I came across something delicious or fun, I would eagerly share it with her first. I even worry that if one day she finds her daughter, will she still love me as much as she does now? However, it's shameful to steal someone else's motherly love. I can only try to suppress these feelings deep inside, not daring to let Wang Ma notice, but she seems to have sensed my anxious mood and has been keeping a proper distance from me quietly. Although I feel a bit sad, there's nothing I can do about it. Chi Zian would occasionally fly over to travel with me, but after 2 or 3 days, he'd be busy flying back. More often, he'd send Lister over to keep an eye on me, claiming it was to prevent me from going astray. University life was just around the corner. My freshman year was pretty busy, but Chi Zian had more free time. He would specifically drive me home and to school on weekends, often taking me out to eat and have fun. I always felt like he had some issue with me lately because the way he looked at me was becoming increasingly inscrutable and enigmatic, like a venomous snake lurking in the dark, waiting to devour its prey. Maybe I'm overthinking it. According to my past lives memory, the internet industry will see a new development boom in 2 years. I plan to seize the opportunity and get a piece of the pie. The startup capital for my venture will naturally come from that substantial inheritance. So, on an ordinary morning, I opened the file bag that had been untouched all along. 17. Unlike my previous life, in addition to the inheritance transfer agreement, there were 2 more letters inside. One of them was an ancient-styled marriage certificate. The other one was a handwritten letter. I casually glanced at the marriage certificate, but my gaze was suddenly fixed, and a wave of shock surged within me. Why are my and Chi Zian's names on this? Mysteriously, a subtle thrill quietly spread within me. I patted my flushed cheeks, suppressed the smile tugging at my lips, and opened that handwritten letter again. It was signed Father Gu and dated 7 years ago. I skimmed through it in seconds. The gist of the letter was that Chi Zian and I had been betrothed since childhood. However, fate took an unexpected turn. After Chi Zian fell from grace, he was adopted by grandfather Gu to conceal his identity. He later successfully returned to his family and reclaimed everything that was rightfully his. On his deathbed, Father Gu left a specific wish, hoping that Chi Zian would marry me and take over the Gu family business. The letter said that if I wanted the inheritance, I had to marry Chi Zian. Conversely, the entire inheritance would go to Chi Zian. This was done to prevent the Gu family's wealth from falling into the hands of those with malicious intentions, jeopardizing a century-old legacy, and to protect me from being constantly targeted and schemed against. In other words, if I didn't marry Chi Zian, I would lose both my wealth and myself. Damn, what kind of garbage plot is this? I refuse to accept this. I protest. I'm reporting the author for this nonsensical writing. Oh, no, I suddenly realized. Why did I use the phrase, lost both money and life? Hee. My thoughts were accidentally revealed. Why didn't Chi Zian ever mentioned this in my previous life? He even returned all the inheritance to me. Does he dislike me? Would he rather lose money just to get rid of his wife? 18. I was so down in the dumps that I ate 2 fewer bowls of rice at lunch. Auntie Wang obviously noticed. After lunch, she knocked on my bedroom door. Little fish, are you feeling down today? She asked kindly, sitting down at the head of the bed. I lay weakly on the bed, rolling around and acting up in Ah Fei's arms. Auntie Wang, I'm so conflicted. What's bothering you? Why don't you tell me, little fish? She smiled warmly. Well, I twisted my fingers, hesitating. I think I've developed a crush on someone, but because of some bad experiences in the past, I might not have the courage to like someone anymore. She smiled knowingly. Just because a little fish chokes once while eating, should it never eat again? I shook my head. Of course not. One mustn't turn their back on good food. Understanding my meaning, she continued, by the same logic, is it really worth giving up so many other wonderful things just because of one bad experience? I immediately shook my head, but I'm not sure if he likes me. I mumbled softly, feeling a bit down. You mean Mr. Chi, don't you? Her reply hit the nail on the head. Embarrassed to have my thoughts guessed, I buried my face in Fai's big belly. I actually think, if it's Mr. Chi, little fish could give it a try, she said softly, lifting my head to free Fatty's belly. I believe Mr. Chi isn't the type to play with someone's feelings. It's probably just that I'm not quite ready myself. I couldn't help but sigh. She then offered a gentle, understanding smile and said, little fish, remember this, whether you get married or not, either choice should be made for happiness. However, there is no one-size-fits-all, risk-free option. When you're at a loss, follow your most primal instincts and trust your gut. You might just stumble upon a pleasant surprise. Auntie Wang left, leaving me alone to think quietly. I thought about it for a long time, and I had to admit she was right. There's no such thing as a perfect choice in this world. I should let go of the past and give myself a chance. So I immediately got out of bed, rushed into the study, and slapped the marriage certificate down in front of his computer. I planted my hands on my hips, brimming with shameless confidence. Chi Zian, do you want a wife or not? He slowly lifted his head, stared at the marriage certificate for a long moment, then said with an impassive face, if you want the inheritance, I can just give it to you. No. I wagged a finger, saying with utmost seriousness, that inheritance is my bride price for marrying you. And what if I don't want it? He arched a brow, looking at me with leisurely composure. I took a step forward, grabbed his tie, and pretended to be fierce, saying, then I'll just have to tie you up and take you back to the Gu family's old mansion to be my mountain stronghold wife. He sighed dramatically and smiled like a sly fox. All right then, I'll reluctantly accept it. I patted his head. Good boy, I'll make sure to earn enough to support you. He loosened his cuff and glanced at me sideways. Have I been too lenient with you lately? I sensed trouble and quickly made my escape. Immediately behind me, I heard his teasing voice. Little coward. After the impulse came a wave of fear. Standing outside the study, my heart was racing, and my back was soaked with cold sweat. Heaven knows how much I was bluffing just now. So nervous my legs were like jelly. I couldn't help touching my face, and sure enough, it was burning hot. I must be as red as a ripe tomato by now. He knows better. If he dared to refuse, I would. Forget it, getting rejected isn't the end of the world. So what if I failed? There are plenty more fish in the sea. 19. According to the plot, Qing Yi and Lin Yuyu would both get into Shanghai University, while Su Yanhe, after repeating a year of study, would follow closely behind and gain admission to the neighboring Shanghai Jiaotong University, but I never expected to see Su Yanhe giving a speech as the freshman representative at the new student orientation ceremony. He was clearly coming after me, because he pursued me aggressively and publicly, with chance encounters, saving seats, buying meals, sending flowers and gifts, and even posting on the confession wall. He left no stone unturned. Gossip immediately spread around campus about the handsome freshman who was head over heels for the beautiful senior, willing to go to any lengths. I've turned him down countless times. I even crushed his gift under my heel right in front of him and threw it in the trash, but none of it could shake his obsession. That day, after the club's public performance, I gave a thank you speech as the lead actor amidst the crowd's urging. A senior came up to present me with flowers. This senior had pursued me before, but I turned him down. Recently, he seemed poised to make a comeback. On stage, he suddenly dropped to one knee, pulled out a ring, and to my shock, proposed to me right there in front of everyone. The hundreds of drowsy eyes in the audience instantly lit up, and even the students who were about to leave early decided to stay. Everyone was waiting for my reaction. Just as a headache was coming on, a sudden, inexplicable chill ran down my spine. A sharp, piercing gaze from within the crowd was locked firmly on me. I instinctively turned around, only to find that Qi Zian had arrived at some point without my noticing. He leaned against the corner of the auditorium, staring straight at me with a faint, ambiguous smile. Before me, my senior knelt on one knee. Behind me, Qi Zian's gaze was as piercing as a serpent's. Trapped between a rock and a hard place. I was caught between a rock and a hard place, wishing I could disappear into a crack in the ground. I hesitated for a moment, about to politely decline the senior. Unexpectedly, another figure rushed onto the stage. It was Su Yanhe. What the hell are you doing? He threw a punch at his senior. The two of them immediately started brawling. The onlookers hurriedly tried to break up the fight. I took advantage of the chaos and quickly slipped away. I had planned to sneak around Qi Zian by taking the back door. I never expected to run right into him. He began to step closer to me. Each step felt like it landed right on my heart, making it tremble. There's a cool senior in front and a devoted junior behind. My little fish is really popular, though it was a compliment. He smiled sinisterly. It's okay. What, do you think it's not enough? Seeing him puff up with anger like a bristling, chubby cat, I couldn't help but chuckle as I walked over to smooth his ruffled fur. Don't be mad, I'll treat you to some fish when we get home, I said, wrapping my arms around his waist and planting a light kiss on his chin. His eyes crinkled with pleasure. The next second, he suddenly scooped me up and pinned me against the wall with a mischievous grin. But I can't wait until we get home. I quickly tried to pry his wrist. Let go, there's surveillance here. Don't embarrass yourself and drag me into it. He swiftly pulled off the suit jacket draped over his arm and covered me with it. This way, everything's fine. You're trying to cover your ears and steal. Before I could finish speaking, his kiss descended upon me, forceful yet tender. Afterwards, he wore a look of utter satisfaction. Now that we've had the appetizer, he asked with shameless curiosity, when do we get to the main course? I pressed a hand to the cut on my lip and shot him a withering glare. 20. I moved out of the dorm and back home. After class, I'd leave campus right away to avoid running into any more bad romantic prospects. Getting tangled up in drama was one thing, but upsetting Qi Zian, that walking jealousy factory, was a whole other story. After Su Yanhe failed to corner me several times, he gradually started to give up. After all, his scholarship and part-time job were more important to him. He got into a public fight with that senior, and both of them were disciplined by the school. I ran into him again 2 years after graduating from college, at a prestigious law firm. He came to consult about bankruptcy liability after his startup failed. We bumped into each other in the hallway, and I walked past him without looking. He reached out and stopped me. Only then did I realize how defeated and haggard he looked, his appearance withered, far removed from the spirited Su who had once been so full of life. A fellow classmate, shall we have a drink? He asked softly. I took a step back. No need, just say what you have to say here. He drooped his head dispiritedly, yet smiled softly as if he had never suffered hardship or failure. You know why I started a business? I'm clearly not cut out to be a businessman. I thought to myself, it's for Lin Yu, isn't it, Yu Sa Chen? You running his studio with gusto and didn't want to be outdone, so you followed suit and started your own business. Before I could respond, he continued on his own. I was thinking, if I were stronger than that man, strong enough to catch everyone's attention, would you start to look at me with more respect? Boy, you're overthinking things. I have no interest in hearing about his entrepreneurial journey, nor do I want to know that I've been forced into the heroine's role. I'm turning to leave. He suddenly lunged forward, gripping my wrist tightly, his eyes bloodshot. "I was the one who was with you first." I was startled and was about to kick him. His eyes quickly regained clarity, and with reluctance, he let go of my hand. "Sorry, I lost control." After saying that, he stared at me intently again. "Someone asked me to pass a message to you," he said. "That day, he didn't mean to abandon you and your child. He went to find Lin Yu intending to end things, to make her stop coming to him, but he didn't expect." "What are you talking about?" I interrupted impatiently, pretending to be completely confused. "I'm not even married. How could I have a child? Did Su Yanhe get a second chance at life too? I don't know, but I've long since lost the heart to find out, because none of it has anything to do with me." He shouted at my retreating back. "Watch out for your uncle. He's not a good man. He has improper intentions towards you." I turned a deaf ear. I just kept striding forward. Much later on, I heard bits and pieces about the main couple from some old high school classmates. It seems that without Su Yanhe, the devoted second male lead, acting as a catalyst and support, their romantic journey suddenly hit a rough patch. The two of them stumbled their way to the altar. However, the fundamental issues from their dating days were never truly resolved. After they got married, new conflicts erupted over time. These issues piled up, and the couple ultimately ended up getting a divorce. As for Su Yanhe, it's said that after attending the main couple's wedding, he went abroad and was never heard from again. 21 Not long after Qi Zian and I got engaged, Auntie Wang suddenly fell seriously ill. Her condition was critical, and within days, the doctors issued a critical condition notice. The illness came on in a very strange way, yet Auntie Wang didn't seem bothered by it at all. I was frantic with worry, dragging Qi Zian around to consult various specialists, but it was all to no avail. That evening, Mama Wang suddenly seemed to perk up and even had the strength to eat. She gazed quietly at the setting sun outside the window. "Little fish, the time has come. I must go now, and I may never return." I understood this was a final rally before the end, and with tears blurring my vision, I laid my head down on the edge of the bed. "No, your daughter hasn't been found yet. You need to stay strong. We will definitely find a way to help you. For such a long time, I've unconsciously treated her as my second mother." "No," she smiled gently, completely immersed in deep happiness. "I actually found her long ago. I watched her grow up healthily, take the college entrance exam, graduate from university, get engaged, and now she has someone who will take care of her, leading a happy life from now on." So she had already found her daughter. She never told me, but she never left me either. For a moment, I didn't know whether to feel relieved or sad. She looked at me deeply, reluctant to part. Our eyes met, emotions surging uncontrollably, and I couldn't help but blurt out, "Mom." To my surprise, she responded with a smile. "Yes." "Then," she said calmly, "we've finally recognized each other as mother and daughter." This sentence hit me like a bolt from the blue, leaving my mind ringing and blank, my heart racing. A strange thought slowly emerged in my mind. No wonder her cooking tasted so familiar to me. No wonder she insisted I call her Auntie Wang instead of Sister Wang. No wonder she's illiterate. The writing systems on both sides are completely different. As for me, I've systematically studied the knowledge of this world, so I'm long accustomed to those characters and symbols. If I can transmigrate into a book, then naturally, others can too. "Mom, hey, Mom, I'm here." Sobbing, I threw myself into her arms, calling out her name over and over. She answered patiently, each and every time. "I'm sorry," I wailed, my tears flowing freely. "I'm sorry I didn't recognize you sooner. Sorry, I'm only calling you Mom now. Sorry, I didn't take good care of you either." "But why, just as I met Mom, does she have to leave me forever?" "Good child, don't cry. We're not going to be apart forever." She gently wiped away my tears. "You must take good care of yourself, and don't lose your temper. Once I learn how to visit you in your dreams, I'll come to see you often." What do you mean?" I sobbed, gasping for breath between cries. "Well, I was only able to cross over here thanks to my master's help, but the price for helping you be reborn was that I had to become his disciple, inherit his legacy, and I can never acknowledge you as my own." She recounted the story gently and in detail. I became more and more astonished as I listened, hurriedly wiped away my tears, and asked, "Who is your master?" "Lady Mengpa," she said shyly with a smile. "My master praised my cooking, so he wants me to take over his job of brewing the soup of forgetfulness." My mouth dropped open wide, like a goose egg. After a long while, I finally found my voice again, choking back tears as I said, "You're not just saying that to make me feel better, are you? When have I ever lied to you?" I wiped my tears, sniffling. Then, Mom, you can't forget about me. You have to come back and see me often, she nodded with a tearful smile. I'll come see you at the Niha Bridge someday, with your son-in-law in tow. She let out a soft laugh and playfully tapped my nose with her translucent finger. I held her in a tight embrace. Moments later, within a dazzling halo of light, her form gradually faded away. It finally transformed into a streak of light and flew out the window. Time began to flow once more, and only then did I hear Chi Zian's frantic shouts from outside the door. Xiaoyu, what's wrong? I heard you crying. He burst the door open, rushed in, and without even glancing at the empty bed, strode over and pulled me into his arms. It's okay. Don't be afraid, I'm here with you. You're not alone. Tears streamed down freely as I buried my face hard against his chest. So, I wasn't all alone after all. While I'm here trying to redeem others, Mom is also on the other side trying to save me. Main text complete. Extra 1. Chi Zian fell in love with Guyu at first sight. Unfortunately, he didn't know at the time that she was the one he was betrothed to as a child. Their first encounter was at a countryside resort. At that moment, he was looking for a place to park when an old man suddenly ran over and lay down right in front of his car. He immediately realized he was being scammed. He was already annoyed by driving, and now some fool was trying to extort money. Just as he was hesitating whether to drive straight over or pay to settle the matter, a strange girl rushed over. Guyu had come to seek justice. Yesterday, she and her roommates had just been scammed by this old man. They'd barely exchanged a few words before she got into a shouting match with the old man. He had a booming voice and a lot of fight in him. Clearly, this wasn't his first rodeo. In the heat of the argument, she suddenly clutched her chest, crouched down, and began convulsing. A trembling hand reached out toward the old man, feebly grasping for his pant leg. Help me. I have a heart condition. Don't you dare leave. This is all your fault. You're not going anywhere until you pay up. I'm talking millions. The old man saw someone reckless and took off like a shot. Chi Zian was about to pick her up and rush her to the hospital. To his surprise, she sprang to her feet and dusted herself off. I was actually fine, just scaring that old man. If List had been there, Guyu would have recognized him immediately. The man standing before her was none other than her elusive uncle, who was always so hard to pin down. As Chi Zian looked at the clever, lively girl with her sparkling eyes, he experienced for the first time what it truly meant to have butterflies in his stomach. He used to scoff at such romantic descriptions in classic literature. Butterflies in your stomach, why not elephants? Is it because elephants aren't good enough? To express his gratitude, Chi Zian treated her to a meal, but Guyu refused, saying her friends were waiting for her to return. They had come out to travel during the National Day holiday. After saying that, she waved and ran off. The beauty didn't even leave her name, let alone any contact information. In fact, if Chi Zian had paid more attention to his niece, he would have recognized his beloved long ago. Although he took over the guardianship of Guyu, it was out of gratitude to Grandpa Gu, and he himself had no thoughts about Guyu at all. The only time he saw Guyu, she was only 12, and he was almost 20, already living a life of power struggles and danger. So how could he possibly be interested in a little girl? So he arranged for someone to take care of her. And then he left the country without a second thought. Even though List Guyu, he couldn't be bothered to look at them. As long as she was doing fine. He rarely contacts Guyu. Guyu rarely contacts him either. And when there's something important, they reach out to Lister. This has led to a relationship between the two that is almost like that of strangers too. Their second encounter was in Shanghai. She tapped on his car window, her smile radiant. Sir, buy one, please. Support a college student's entrepreneurial efforts. It turned out that this was Guyu's practical course assignment, street vending economy, and they needed to reach a certain sales target to pass. Chi Zian chose a car tassel because she said she had made it herself. Then, he acted like an awkward young lad, somewhat excited, and hung the cheap, colorful tassel on his expensive luxury car. He stared at the swaying tassels, as if gazing at his own endlessly rippling heart. How beautiful, he thought, lost in admiration. It suddenly dawned on him, after all this time pining in secret, he still didn't know who she was. But by the time he got off to look for her, she had already vanished without a trace. He drove around the area several more times but didn't see her again. Maybe she's already back at school. He was frustrated for a while, but it didn't help. However, he decided to take care of his business first and look for her later. The main reason for my return to Shanghai is to settle the Gu family estate. Since little niece is already in university, it's time for him to return the inheritance to her. As for the arranged marriage from childhood, he never took it seriously. He wouldn't force himself to marry someone he doesn't love for the sake of money, nor would he ruin the girl's life. What's more, he now has someone he likes. 3. Fate played a cruel joke on him when he and Guyu stepped into the same house. He was deeply shocked, and a hint of regret began to surface. Guyu was also left utterly speechless. The atmosphere became palpably awkward. It was the old butler who finally stepped in to smooth things over. At the dinner table, her constant chirping calls of uncle grated on his ears. It's only a 7-year age gap. Is he really that old? At that moment, he felt immensely grateful that a marriage contract existed between them, but before he could figure out how to broach the subject, Guyu arrived with Su Yenha. Oh no, she already has someone she likes. Looks like I'm too late. He was consumed with regret, cursing his own carelessness for letting the opportunity slip right through his fingers. It was a roller coaster of emotions, soaring highs and crushing lows. It felt like a fall from heaven straight into hell. In truth, he had once thought of using the engagement and the inheritance to force Guyu to marry him, but would that still be Chizian? He wouldn't stoop to being a third wheel, nor did he want a relationship forced upon him. He wasn't that desperate for love, so he chose to let go, taking only the marriage certificate and will, leaving behind the inheritance agreement. After all, it was just a fleeting attraction. Over time, as one encounters new people and experiences, those feelings fade. Little did he expect that in the years that followed, he would never again meet someone who could move him so deeply to prevent himself from harboring inappropriate thoughts and committing irreversible actions. After leaving Shanghai, Chi Zian deliberately avoided contacting Guyu. He seemed even more distant than before, showing her neither care nor attention. The only constant was the birthday gifts and well wishes he sent each year. In his capacity as an elder, he quietly kept tabs on Guyu's movements, as if trying to make up for all the care and affection that had been missing in those years. For that morning, Lister entered the president's office nervously. 5 minutes later, a roar came from inside. The enraged person smashed everything in the office to pieces. List stood guard in silence outside the door, forbidding anyone from peering in. Chi Zian slumped to the floor, clutching the death certificate, his palm lacerated and bleeding from the broken glass. Su Yenha, how dare he? How could he? I personally handed her over to him, and this is how he treated her. She was only 25, yet she died with her unborn child. He hated it, hated Su Yenha's fickleness, and even more, hated himself for not taking good care of her. During that time, the entire group was shrouded in gloom, with top executives on edge, not daring to breathe a word, fearing they would be caught in the boss's crosshairs. After Chi Zian finished Guyu's funeral, he began to settle accounts. Su Yenha was no good at business. If it weren't for Qi Corporation backing him up, he would have squandered all of the Gu family's inheritance by now. It was incredibly easy for Chi Zian to deal with him. On the day Su Corporation went bankrupt, Su Yenha was brought before him like a stray dog by his subordinates. She's dead, there's no reason for you to live either. He toyed with the tassel in his hand, a nostalgic gesture, but his eyes were ice cold. But death is too good for you. I don't want you going down to find her just yet. For her life and the child's 2 lives, you'll pay with an arm and a leg. Su Yenha roared at him in a furious rage. Give me Guyu's ashes. You're in love with her, aren't you? You, an uncle, actually fell in love with your own niece. It's a good thing she never found out before she died, otherwise she would have been so disgusted she couldn't eat for 3 days. Ha 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 ha. The roaring laughter cut off abruptly. Su Yenha was dragged away from the basement. A series of agonized screams soon echoed. 5. Chi Zian never married in his life. On his deathbed, he ordered his adopted son to have his ashes interred together with Guyu's. After death, his spirit wandered aimlessly. More often than not, he would sit before Guyu's grave, murmuring incessantly about his longing and regret. Then one day, a fissure suddenly tore open in the sky, as if someone had slashed it with a blade. A flash of white light erupted from within, sucking Chi Zian inside. When he opened his eyes, he saw a man with long, flowing hair, dressed in ancient robes. He wondered, had he somehow ended up in the underworld? The long-haired man pointed at a mirror and said to the tall woman beside him, "Your daughter is right here. Remember, you must not reveal your true identity to her." The woman nodded earnestly. Chi Zian curiously glanced at the mirror, only to discover that the daughter they were talking about was none other than Guyu. The lady leaped into the mirror and transformed into an older woman with a slightly haggard appearance. Before Chi Zian could figure out what was going on, the long-haired man had already spotted him. Huh, how did one more pop out? We need to shove it back in quickly, lest the heavenly down notices. Chi Zian tried to flee in a panic, but the man effortlessly grabbed him and tossed him into the mirror. Back you go, you little brat. The next moment, he opened his eyes. Chi Zian was reborn, handsome and youthful. List stood respectfully beside him, holding his phone, clearly waiting for him to wake up from his nap. Boss, the principal just called to say that Missy got into a fight at school. Still in a daze, he casually asked, who did she hit? Su Yenha. He was jolted awake in an instant. 6. Given a second chance, Chi Zian was determined to win that person back, even if it killed him. He discovered that Guyu is currently infatuated with Su Yenha, and it might not be easy to separate them. He realized he had been too neglectful of her before, failing to fulfill his responsibilities as a family member, and she probably doesn't have much affection for him either. He was plotting how to quietly eliminate Su Yenha when unexpectedly, Guyu first proposed transferring schools. The opportunity has arrived. With a mix of excitement and trepidation, he flew back home overnight. To his delight, he found that Guyu did not reject him, though her feelings extended only to respect and admiration. So, he decided to stay by her side and wait for her to grow up. A year was a wait he could manage. Once she goes to college, he will pursue her openly and honorably. Returning to the Gu household again, Chi Zian encountered an unexpected person. Aunt Wang, isn't this the same form that lady took after jumping into the mirror? He had too many questions about reincarnation and Guyu's true identity. He quietly sought out Auntie Wang to get a straight answer. Auntie Wang just rolled her eyes at him. Don't go prying into the affairs of the gods. He awkwardly rubbed his nose. Alright then, whatever the mother-in-law says goes. The end. Story 2. My boyfriend is a fire captain, so when I woke up choking on thick smoke, I calmly dialed his work number 3 times. He finally answered, only to unleash a torrent of scolding. Stop being jealous, I'm just doing my job. Is it really necessary to joke about a fire? Amidst the chaotic background noise, I could hear Yaya's adoring, cooing voice. Thank you, big brother, you're my savior. Flames were licking at my face. I had no time to argue with him, so I immediately called the fire department. The operator regretfully informed me, the nearest fire brigade to you is on an emergency mission and will take half an hour to get there. I'll immediately coordinate with other rescue teams for you. In a daze, I saw a news alert. A success story of the fire chief mobilizing all rescue forces to successfully save a suicidal teenage girl suffering from depression. If I'm not mistaken, this is Yaya's 99th episode of depression. Desperately, I looked at the warped door, then opened the window on the 18th floor. Between burning to death and falling to death, I chose the former. In the final second before I blacked out from suffocation, I sent my last text message. I'm leaving now. I wish you all happiness. Please don't look for me or worry about me. 1. I saw my own body, curled up rigid as a statue in the corner of the balcony. Even as the breath left between nose and lips, a desperate yearning for life still clung to the face. A damp towel fell from my left hand, stained black from filtering the smoke. The fingers of my right hand were a horrifying ruin, charred skin peeling away to reveal raw, crimson flesh, the little finger reduced to mere fragments of bone. So, I was already dead 20 minutes ago. I woke up choking in my sleep. Opening my eyes, I was met with a suffocating blanket of thick smoke. The fire had started in the kitchen and spread through the living room, engulfing most of the house. Staying calm, I wet a towel, held it over my nose and mouth, and crouched low to feel my way towards the front door. My boyfriend, Xiaoqing, is a fire captain. Through constant exposure, I picked up quite a bit of knowledge. The door lock was glowing red hot even through the damp, thick towel. The heat still made me flinch. Delicate blisters quickly welled up on my fingertips. I yanked the handle a few times in pain, but the door remained firmly shut. It turned out that the door frame had warped under the heat, firmly jamming the door. The smoke was growing denser, almost filling my field of vision. My head felt a bit dizzy, a sign of carbon monoxide poisoning. In a panic, I rushed to the balcony, flung the window wide open, and made my first desperate call for help. It was to my boyfriend, Xiaoqing, who was currently giving me the cold shoulder. Today was Xiaoqing's shift day, and the fire station he led was only a 5-minute drive away. High-rise rescue just happened to be his specialty. The number you have dialed is currently unavailable. Please try your call again later. A cold, automated voice came through the receiver. I looked down to double-check. The number I had dialed was his work phone. When Xiaoqing gave me this number, he promised me faithfully, Xiaoran, this is the on-duty phone assigned by our unit. It's only for emergency communication, must not be turned off, and must be answered whenever it rings, apart from colleagues. Only you know the number. Let's consider this our agreed distress signal. Whenever you call, I'll be there immediately. I have already dialed 119, but after hesitating for a moment, I called Xiaoqing again. It's simply because the jurisdiction I'm in falls under his responsibility, and all final tasks are assigned to him. Maybe contacting him directly would be more efficient. The ringing tone lingered in my ear for a long time until I heard Xiaoqing cursing in frustration. I'm busy, just get to the point and don't waste each other's time. Only then did I realize I had dialed the third call. This time, it was unconscious. I shook my heavy head vigorously and leaned my face towards the window. My nasal passages felt swollen, unable to let in even a breath of air. I probably suffered carbon monoxide poisoning while I was deeply asleep. Xiaoqing didn't notice my labored breathing, and seeing that I didn't speak, he urged me impatiently again. Xiaoqing, the house is on fire. Can you come and help? I forced the words out through my constricted throat, only to be cut off by his merciless scolding. Han Ran, I'm begging you, please stop being jealous. I've explained 1,000 times, there's nothing between Yaya and me, it's strictly professional, just part of my job. Why won't you believe me? Is it really necessary to joke about something as serious as a fire? Amidst the chaotic background noise, Yaya's adoring, tearful cry could be heard. I thought you wouldn't care about me anymore. You're my savior. Too, really, is there nothing else between you two? In my heart, I was interrogating Xiaoqing, and interrogating myself. Over the past year, Xiaoqing's on-call phone would often ring at all hours, day and night. Even if his deep sleep was disturbed in the dead of night, he would rub his bleary eyes, put on his coat without a word of complaint, and hurry out the door. I thought it was just the pressing matters that came with his recent promotion. It wasn't. Until I realized the same name kept popping up on the screen every single time. Yaya. A woman's intuition told me something was off. I secretly checked Xiaoqing's recent call history. There are very few actual work calls. In contrast, Yaya's name fills the screen. My boyfriend of 5 years, always ready to respond to other women's emergency calls, no matter the weather. Yet, when I made the only distress call during an emergency, I was scolded mercilessly. How ironic. The dial tone beep beep came through the receiver. Xiaoqing hung up the phone. The flame leaped up to the tip of the nose while I was still conscious. I frantically called the fire department. Just as I expected, after confirming the address, the dispatcher transferred the call to Xiaoqing's unit. What? Everyone's already out on a call, and it's so far away. Why wasn't a closer unit dispatched? Nonsense. Captain Xiao would never make such a reckless decision. Not sure what reply he received, but he was visibly annoyed, tapping his fingers restlessly on the desk. Suddenly, the operator's voice was cut off. He must have realized I could hear him and muted the line. Shortly after, he picked up the phone and regretfully informed me, I'm sorry, ma'am, but the nearest fire stations are all on emergency calls. Please stay reachable, and I'll coordinate with other rescue teams immediately. My head feels heavier and heavier. I pinched the inside of my thigh hard, twice, just to claw back a shred of clarity. How much longer? I pressed, urgency sharpening my voice. I'm not sure I can hold on. The operator chose her words with deliberate care. The call has been dispatched. Rescue teams are mobilizing now. The fire station nearest you has the city's best high-rise rescue equipment. They'll be there within half an hour at the latest. He then went on to suggest some self-rescue methods. I looked helplessly at the bathroom filled with water, the wet sheets at my feet, and the wet towel in my hand. I didn't have the heart to tell him I had already tried all of these in a daze. I saw a news alert. The fire chief had mobilized all rescue forces to successfully save a suicidal depressed girl. I let out a sarcastic laugh. If I recall correctly, this is the 99th time Yaya has had a depressive episode. I'm so tired of hearing this excuse. A month ago, I had a huge fight with Xiaoqing. That day was our engagement party. To my left was my mom, who had traveled from afar, sitting for dozens of hours on a hard seat. To my right were my soon-to-be in-laws, looking down on me with disdain. The other relatives surrounded us on both sides, exchanging awkward glances. The table was filled with my favorite dishes, all pre-ordered by Xiaoqing. The waiter brought out a cake with a ring hidden inside, a special arrangement by Xiaoqing. The officiant awkwardly raised the microphone, holding the wedding vows Xiaoqing had prepared. Yet, Xiaoqing was nowhere to be seen. I can't tell if he's genuinely trying or if he just doesn't care. 2 hours later, the banquet ended. Xiaoqing sent a cold, perfunctory apology via text. Sorry, urgent work, I'll be back when I'm done. In the end, he didn't come back all night. At 2 in the morning, Yaya updated her secret side account on Weibo. Every time depression strikes, I just want to escape from this world, but luckily, you make me want to stay. 3. There's an attached image on Weibo showing 2 hands intertwined with fingers clasped. The scar on the back of the larger hand is particularly Noticeable, the next evening, a weary Xiaoqing returned home. I didn't lose my temper. I calmly discussed our 5-year relationship and his connection with Yaya that went beyond work. He remained silent, his fingers constantly moving, occasionally bowing his head to reply to work messages on his phone. My eyes were fixed on the scar on the back of his hand. I caught a glimpse of the contact name in the chat window. It had changed to Baby Yaya. The long-suppressed frustration and hurt were just about to erupt. It was all choked back by Xiaoqing's words. Keep your voice down, don't act like a shrew. He told me to calm down. I calmly dragged my suitcase and left the newly renovated house. The operator, unaware of the turmoil in my heart, still comforted me. Please hold on to hope. The firefighters will definitely rescue you successfully. I checked the time. 5 minutes had passed. Not only had I missed the golden window for escape, but the half-hour deadline he mentioned now felt impossibly far away. After hanging up the phone, I threw all caution to the wind. Wrapped in a soaking wet blanket, I charged into the inferno, frantically twisting the doorknob and kicking at the door with all my might. The acrid smell of burning flesh filled my nostrils. I looked down to see my right palm a bloody, mangled mess, with strips of skin peeled back and stuck to the door handle. The hem of my clothing had caught fire. Any hope of escape through the main door was gone. The setting sun streamed through the window, mingling with the dancing flames. I stumbled to the balcony and looked out from the 18th floor. Jumping for survival would mean certain death on the pavement below, so, between burning and falling, I chose the former. Shortly after, Xiaoqing, far on the other side of the city, received a text message reminder. Perhaps it was an exceptionally strong will to survive. My soul followed that text message to Xiaoqing's side. He was surrounded by a lively atmosphere. Yaya looked pale and shaken, her tears wetting Xiaoqing's collar. Xiaoqing gently stroked her hair, comforting her nonstop. Promise me, don't do anything foolish. No matter how hard it gets, I'll be with you. The colleagues behind Xiaoqing exchanged glances, too afraid to speak out. The youngest firefighter was pushed forward, timidly reminding Captain Xiao. The command center called half an hour ago saying there's a big fire in a high-rise in the city. Should we head out? I recognized him as Yan Peng, a new hire. Xiaoqing was getting impatient. He gently brushed Yaya's temple, adjusted his own collar, and then spoke seriously. Didn't I just say, send a few veterans over directly? No need to wait for me, Yan Peng said with difficulty. You forgot. The entire team was called here to rescue Miss He, and the only fire ladder truck in the city was also dispatched by you. Xiaoqing felt he was being criticized by his subordinates and angrily demanded, are you questioning my decision? Both sides are human lives. I have to prioritize. If you're in a hurry to take credit, just get lost. I'm not stopping you, Yan Peng, straightforward and sarcastic, said. What does taking credit have to do with it? You're the leader, leading our whole team in a heroic rescue, and if we haven't earned a smile from the lady, how dare we leave on our own? What are you talking nonsense about? Xiaoqing's face turned livid, and he shouted angrily just as the two were about to come to blows. Yaya grabbed Xiaoqing's sleeve, her voice soft and gentle. Brother, don't be angry, we're all trying to save someone, I'll go with you. With that, she turned around, bowed deeply to the firefighters, and said through tears, I'm sorry for taking up public resources. Thank you all for your help. I will definitely live well and will not squander the second life you've given me. A female team member couldn't help but roll her eyes and muttered under her breath, Pfft. You said the same thing last time. The fire burned for a full half-hour. Xiaoqing and his group hurriedly set off. But, my dear fiancé, the merciless flames have long devoured my life. I will never bother you again. For Xiaoqing and Yaya sat shoulder to shoulder, intimately in the back seat. Yaya pretended to be alarmed and brought me up. Brother, Ran just called you several times, using an emergency number. Is something wrong? What could be wrong with her? Xiaoqing chuckled coldly. Why live at home when you can rent a place outside and enjoy your freedom? She just told me she's leaving, probably going back to her hometown to see her mom. Yaya looked visibly anxious on the surface, but there was a hint of satisfaction in her eyes. It's not because of me, is it? Brother, you have to believe me. I didn't mean to ruin the engagement party. Give me sister's phone number. I want to apologize to her in person. As she spoke, she began to sob quietly. Xiaoqing pulled out a tissue and gently wiped Yaya's tears. It's her own fault for being so willful. It's not your fault. Xiaoqing straightened up, his right hand gripping the tissue, and fished out his phone from his side pocket, staring at it thoughtfully. Curiously, I glanced at the screen, which displayed the last text message I had sent. I'm leaving. I wish you both happiness. Please don't contact me or think of me. After a long moment, he suddenly smiled, his fingers tapping lightly on the screen. Leaving for where? Nan Nan misses you and hasn't been eating well, let me pick you up and bring you home tonight. Nan Nan is the Samoyed we raised together. The driver slammed on the brakes. The two people in the back seat were caught off guard and leaned forward due to inertia. He scolded, "Can you even drive?" I almost hit my head. Xiaoqing opened the car door and ran out, too busy to pick up his phone that had fallen under the seat. The message was still in the input box, not sent yet. Thick smoke billowed from the midsection of the high-rise, forming a heavy black cloud. As if dusk had descended, flames reflected on the shattered glass, accompanied by bursts and roars. The commander, just out of the inferno, saw Xiaoqing and without a word, slammed the ripped-off mask onto his head. "Do you have any idea how critical a high-rise fire is? Your unit was the closest, and support from across the entire city arrived, everyone except your team, with 1 dead and 10 injured. You'd better start thinking about how you're going to explain this to the public and to your superiors." The stretcher carried out my body first. The other injured were rescued one after another. Out of respect, someone found a white cloth to cover my mangled body, leaving only my limp hand hanging out. Xiaoqing was stunned when he saw the half-hanging bracelet on his wrist. The commander's voice was filled with deep sorrow. "Captain Xiao, human lives are at stake. There's no room for any carelessness. This is the only victim at the scene, a young girl in her early 20s, burned alive." Not even leaving a complete body, Xiaoqing took a deep breath and, when he looked up again, had regained his composure. "I'm sorry, I led everyone on an urgent mission and rushed over as soon as I got the news. The journey was a bit long." Seeing his prized student lower his head in acknowledgement, the commander didn't have the heart to say more. He patted Xiaoqing on the shoulder and urged, "The fire is under control. Lead everyone in wrapping up the work. Stay safe." Xiaoqing nodded and was about to step inside. The commander saw Yaya hiding in the car, and his tone instantly turned furious. "Is this what you call an urgent mission? You're neglecting the working masses just to play house with some little girl using depression as an excuse." "Xiaoqing, let me stress this again, I don't interfere with your private life, but this is work time. Can you keep your role-playing games behind closed doors? Also, speaking out of turn, but you and Hanran are getting married soon. Shouldn't you settle down?" Xiaoqing didn't respond and sneakily glanced at my corpse again, fiddling stiffly with the matching bracelet on my wrist. I mumbled to myself, "It must be a coincidence. It must be a coincidence." When I left the new house, I only took a few clothes with me. None of the jewelry gifts he gave me went with me. Xiaoqing probably realized it too. His expression calmed down, and he focused on his work, but he probably forgot that these bracelets were our love tokens. I never took them off until I died. 5. With Xiaoqing and his team's help, the fire was quickly extinguished. Experts confirmed that the source of the fire was in the kitchen. He said it was most likely that the homeowner forgot to turn off the stove while cooking, causing the water in the pot to evaporate, leading to a natural gas leak and subsequently triggering the fire. I am a bit confused, because after moving, I've been eating takeout and drinking bottled water, and I've never used the kitchen. Xiaoqing surveyed the one-bedroom apartment. A long streak of blood trailed from the front door, across the living room, all the way to the window by the balcony. It was the final mark I left behind. From my struggle before death. A pink suitcase lay open on the bedroom floor. The box was scorched with black marks from the flames. The box was filled with burnt fragments of fabric, likely little girls' skirts. Just as Xiaoqing was about to step closer for a closer look, he was startled by Yaya's scream. He rushed out of the bedroom and saw a pool of blood at Yaya's feet, hurriedly pulling her away from the balcony. "What are you following me for? Didn't I tell you to wait obediently?" Yaya was on the verge of tears. "Don't be mean to me. I just wanted to see if there's anything I can help with." Yan Peng snorted coldly from the side. "Help with what? Jump off a building somewhere else so we can save you again." He pointed at the wide-open window and said angrily, "The girl who died beside you fought desperately to live. She was more deserving of rescue than you. Every time you waste police resources, you could be costing an innocent life like hers." Someone who truly wants to die finds a quiet corner to slip away, not make a grand spectacle for the whole world to see. "How about I give you a chance? If you jump from here, you're dead for sure, and I won't stop you." Xiaoqing shielded Yaya behind him and shouted, "Yan Peng, life is equal, no matter how high or low it is. You know the fire happened later, and no one could have predicted it." The female team member rolled her eyes at Yaya again, directly breaking the surface of the matter. "Captain Xiao, Miss, he is an adult. If she's sick, she should see a doctor and take her medicine. If she wants to die, that's her right. You're a firefighter, not a doctor or her parents. If you're hellbent on chasing after her, don't drag the rest of us into it. If I'd known she was the one we were rescuing, I would never have answered that call with you." The rest of the team chimed in with agreement. From their words, I gathered that Xiaoqing had only mentioned an urgent mission, mobilizing the whole team without disclosing any other details. Xiaoqing is the captain, holding the highest rank and the longest tenure. Obedience is in a firefighter's nature. Everyone went without hesitation, bringing along the best rescue equipment the team had. Upon arrival, they discovered it was Hiyaya, whose depression had relapsed, attempting to jump off a building but regretting it halfway. She got herself stuck in the pull-up bar and couldn't get free, so she called Xiaoqing for help. Apart from jumping off a building, Hiyaya had tried methods like slitting her wrists, taking sleeping pills, and charcoal burning. Each time, she would change her mind halfway through. Everyone was well aware of her little schemes except for Xiaoqing. He never once brushed off Hiyaya's pleas for help. This time, he even brought the entire team along. The female team member was only one rank lower than Xiaoqing. She volunteered to take charge of the scene, leaving Xiaoqing out of the loop. Xiaoqing knew he had angered everyone, but he was too proud and conscious to admit his mistake. Xiaoqing shot Hiyaya an inscrutable look, his gaze lingering on her innocent expression. He forced the words out in a parched voice. "I've already reported all the tasks to the higher-ups. There's no need for everyone to attack me with such hostility." Seeing that everyone was minding their own business and ignoring him, Xiaoqing was seething with rage. "Yaya, let me take you home." As she was leaving, Hiyaya stepped on a broken bracelet lying on the floor, grinding it under her heel with a vicious twist, all while maintaining a sweet smile on her face. "Brother, I'll just sit at home and overthink everything if I'm alone. Could you stay with me a little longer?" Xiaoqing forced a smile and agreed. If only he had looked down and taken a closer look, you'd definitely notice the pink box with my favorite cartoon stickers, and the fabric scraps are from my most worn dress. Unfortunately, he left with Hiyaya without even looking back. 6. If souls have hearts, my heart must be shattered into a million pieces. Xiaoqing allowed Hiyaya to stay overnight in our new home. I don't know whether to laugh or cry. Xiaoqing didn't touch Hiyaya, choosing to sleep fully clothed on the sofa, but he had Hiyaya sleep in the master bedroom. He had her sleep in the bed that belonged to the lady of the house. Xiaoqing and I had been together for 5 years. Our relationship was at the stage of discussing marriage. I was utterly defeated in front of an innocent young girl. I don't know whether to hate myself for being blind or to hate Xiaoqing for being fickle, but, setting aside his identity as a boyfriend, he's a firefighter. When I'm in danger and desperately calling for help, shouldn't I receive the proper rescue? Xiaoqing, lying on the sofa, stared blankly at the message that hadn't been replied to in a long time. The note is my name. Nan Nan lay listlessly in the corner, not having touched the mountain of dog food piled in front of her. Xiaoqing typed and deleted and typed in the message box. In the end, not a single word was sent. As for what he hit, I didn't see whether it's an apology or regret. It doesn't matter. I can't go back. We can't go back. In the dead of night, Xiaoqing jolted awake from a nightmare, his forehead slick with cold sweat and his pajamas soaked through. He charged into the master bedroom like a madman. Hiyaya, roused from a deep sleep, saw it was Xiaoqing and sat up in bed, her face lighting up with delight. "Brother, did you come to stay with me? I've been waiting for you all night." Xiaoqing rummaged through my vanity like a deaf man, mechanically, until he found the jewelry box at the very back. He poured out all the bracelets, one by one, comparing them on his wrist. No, not this one either. Where could it have gone? The cosmetics on the table were scattered everywhere, and jewelry was thrown all over the place. After rummaging through the vanity, Xiaoqing turned his gaze toward the wardrobe. Hiyaya burst into tears with a sob, rushing over to wrap her arms around Xiaoqing's lean waist. "Don't scare me like that. What's wrong?" Clarity returned to Xiaoqing's eyes as he stared helplessly at the mess scattered across the floor. "It's nothing, Ran. I just had a bad dream. I dreamed that you..." Both of them were stunned by the remark. Xiaoqing broke free from Hiyaya's embrace, straightened her intentionally open pajamas, and said gently, "Sorry for waking you up. Go back to sleep. I'll stay in the living room." Just as Hiyaya was about to say something, Xiaoqing's slamming door cut her off. Xiaoqing sank deep into the sofa, scratching his hair. Finally, he picked up his phone and typed out long message after long message, sending them to my phone. Ran, "I'm sorry, I overstepped my bounds. I will cut ties with Hiyaya. Have you gone back to your hometown? Should I pick you up from Mom's place?" His fingers paused for a moment, glancing at the master bedroom with the light on, then continued typing. "Forget it. You said you didn't want to live in the new place last time." so I'll rent a place with you outside. A change of environment would be nice too. I couldn't help but let out a sarcastic laugh. You see, he knows very well that he shouldn't bring Hiyaya home, but he still did it. Xiaoqing held his phone, tossing and turning, checking his unread messages every few minutes. As dawn broke, Xiaoqing, who had just fallen asleep, was woken by a piercing ringtone. Without even looking at the screen, he quickly picked up the phone. Ran, are you willing to forgive me? I'm coming to see you. Xiaoqing got up, grabbed his car keys, and was about to head out without even changing his clothes. Son-in-law. It's me, Ran's mom. My mother's reserved voice came through the receiver. I just want to know, is Ran okay? Since yesterday afternoon, my heart has been racing, and I just have this uneasy feeling. I've called her but she's not picking up. Just tell me if she's safe. Snap, the sound of car keys hitting the floor. Xiaoqing's face was a mask of disbelief, his body trembling slightly. Didn't Ran go back to your hometown to find you? 7. Hiyaya skipped out of the master bedroom. Brother, you're awake, why not sleep a little longer? On the other side, Mom clearly paused for a moment. Xiaoqing, who's next to you? Aren't you with Ran? Xiaoqing was so annoyed by Hiyaya's antics that he pushed her to the ground and then hurriedly picked up the phone to explain. Mom, Ran is fine, I'll have her call you to let you know she's safe. He didn't dare say more and quickly hung up the phone. Xiaoqing ignored Hiyaya, who was sitting on the floor, sobbing softly, grabbed the car keys and headed out the door. He found the new address I had sent him in the chat history, stepped on the gas and drove over, and he still found time to call me. Unfortunately, all I got was the endless ringing of an unanswered call. On the first day of our Cold War, I found a random place to crash nearby. I even sent the address to Xiaoqing. My mind was a complete mess back then, torn between not wanting to let go of 5 years of feelings and not wanting a flawed love. Xiaoqing is too. He didn't want to break up, but he didn't bow his head or show remorse. He occasionally showed some cheap concern, asking if I had calmed down. My heart was slowly dying, and just as I was about to confront him and end things, the fire broke out. I just wanted to survive, that was all. Our story began when I saved him, barely clinging to life, on a street corner. Coincidentally, it ended with him saving my life by fulfilling his duty, but in the end, he owed me 2 lives. During this time, there were countless moments that could have changed the outcome if Xiaoqing had distributed firefighters and equipment according to regulations. If Xiaoqing hadn't mistaken my plea for help as jealousy, if Xiaoqing had left immediately after receiving the message from headquarters. Each link is interconnected. He is the one who orchestrated my demise, then let him spend the rest of his life haunted by the world's condemnation and his own guilt. Xiaoqing had lost count of how many times he'd dialed my number. When someone finally answered, he called out my name with desperate hope. A heavy, somber voice came from the other end of the line. Are you a family member of Han Ran? This is the Municipal Public Security Bureau. We have just coordinated with the fire department to confirm that Han Ran was a victim of yesterday's high-rise fire. Please accept my condolences. The color drained from Xiaoqing's face, his hands trembled violently on the steering wheel, and his lips quivered. Impossible. My fiancée is only 25. There's no way she could be dead. I'm a firefighter, for God's sake. At that moment, the navigation system chimed. You have arrived at your destination. Xiaoqing looked up eagerly to verify. He realized the building in front of him was the high-rise he had helped fight the fire in yesterday. The shattered windows on the 18th floor and the soot-blackened exterior were clearly visible. After confirming my apartment number, he collapsed to the ground like a heap of mud. This was the first time Xiaoqing had ever lost his composure. After a long while, he returned to the scene of the accident, staring numbly at the bloodstains by the entrance. He finally recognized them: my pink suitcase, the floral print dress, and that half of a bracelet, snapped underfoot. Xiaoqing lay down on the bed I used to sleep in and quietly closed his eyes. When he opened his eyes again, he was back to being the decisive Captain Xiao. First, he calmly went to the police station to claim my body. Then, he calmly informed my mother of my death. Finally, he calmly gathered all relatives and completed the funeral. Whether it was my mother's wild, accusatory rants or Hiyaya's sweetly gentle comfort, or even my would-be in-laws arranging a matchmaking session at my funeral, he showed no emotional reaction whatsoever. Some called him cold-blooded and ruthless, not shedding a single tear even after his fiancée's death. Others said he was deeply affectionate but doomed, as nothing is more sorrowful than a broken heart. Only I knew he was on the brink of madness. 8. On the very day Xiaoqing was reported for dereliction of duty, he stabbed Hiyaya, inflicting serious injuries. The reason was his discovery that the owner of the apartment I was renting shared the surname he He was Hiyaya's brother. Before the fire broke out, Hiyaya was spotted lurking suspiciously near the high-rise building. Her guilty expression and nervous movements were nothing like someone suffering a relapse of depression. Half an hour later, she arrived on the other side of the city, heading straight to the rooftop of a commercial building. Without even catching her breath, she quickly dialed Xiaoqing's number. Gossiping netizens speculate that if Hiyaya really wanted to die, she would have jumped from the high-rise directly. Why go through the trouble of changing locations? Most likely, she did something wrong, fabricating an alibi for attention and exaggerating her dangerous situation. I was also greatly shocked. The enigmas that had puzzled us for so long finally had answers. Hiyaya lay in the ICU for 3 days and 3 nights before slowly regaining consciousness. The doctor said her bladder was damaged, and she would have to live with a urinary bag for the rest of her life. Confronted by the police, she refused to admit guilt and even began shouting curses. "I just forgot to turn off the gas stove. I didn't set the fire on purpose. Hanran was just unlucky. Why blame me? It's my own fault for being blind and falling for that ungrateful scumbag. I helped him deal with his mess. And he had the nerve to stab me." 1 week later, the police issued the official investigation report. Renting the vacant house from the He family was indeed a coincidence. After discovering that I was the tenant, Hiyaya stole the spare key. She sneaked in multiple times while I was asleep or away. The flammable clutter around the kitchen stove was placed there intentionally by her. She also tampered with the fire alarm and fire hydrant. She refused to admit she intentionally set the fire. Just being stubborn. That day, I habitually asked the delivery guy to leave the food at the door. Hiyaya took the opportunity to put a massive amount of sleeping pills in the food. She timed it perfectly, sneaking into the kitchen and turning on the gas stove after I fell asleep. The clutter wouldn't catch fire immediately, giving her just enough time to stage her dramatic leap. The entire process was seamless. She even bribed marketing accounts in advance, hyping up Xiaoqing's heroic rescue of her. All just to spite me. Hiyaya thought the plan was flawless. Not only could she clear her name and get rid of me, but she could also claim the wavering Xiaoqing for herself. But no matter how meticulously Hiyaya planned, she never expected Xiaoqing to uncover the truth and go to the extreme of trying to stab her. Later, she couldn't accept the fact that she would have to live with a urine bag for the rest of her life. Every day she would scream and shout, rip out all the tubes and monitors attached to her, climb onto the windowsill, and try to jump. Her family had no choice but to tie her to the bed with ropes. Later, she was officially diagnosed with paranoid personality disorder. She suspects I'm not really dead and that I'm the one who put Xiaoqing up to getting revenge on her. After her condition worsened, she believed everyone around her, including her parents, wanted to kill her. Fearing she might harm others during her episodes, her family reluctantly sent her to a sanitarium. However, that's all in the past now. A month later, the police found in my deceased rental apartment. He looked haggard, with dark circles under his eyes, unkempt stubble on his cheeks, and his clothes hanging loosely on his frame. Just as the police raised the handcuffs, poised to arrest him, Xiaoqing flung open the balcony window without a moment's hesitation and leaped from the 18th floor. My soul gradually grew transparent. The memories of my brief 25 years flashed before my eyes like a film. Then, as a blaze of fire erupted, I calmly welcomed my true end. Xiaoqing, if there's a next life, I hope our paths never cross again. 9. Side story. Xiaoqing, everyone says that my meeting Hanran was a stroke of incredible fate, and I must treat her well. Indeed, she is my savior. During a mission, I was severely wounded and separated from my teammates, nearly losing my life. She descended like an angel from the heavens. He took me to the hospital and covered all the medical expenses. I was too scared to tell my parents about my injury, so she took care of me with great patience until I fully recovered. My friends said I had the luck of the devil. Not only did I survive a close call, but I also gained a caring girlfriend. When Hanran naturally brought up marriage, I was at a loss. I didn't know if my feelings for her came from external pressure or genuine affection from the heart. That's when Hiyaya came along. Unlike Hanran's independence, Hiyaya was clingy and childish. I just couldn't let go, savoring the satisfaction of being needed. It wasn't until Hanran moved out of the marital home without a tear, a fuss, or a backward glance, that I realized I had overstepped. I never intended to give up on this 5-year relationship. Fortunately, she didn't bring up breaking up either. I planned to sort out my relationship with Hiyaya and then go find Hanran to reconcile, all by myself. That day, I received a distress call from Hanran. I thought she was making an excuse to see me, and I was very happy. As soon as I thought about how long she had been ignoring me, I felt a surge of resentment and hurtful words just slipped out. I regretted it immediately. She said she was leaving and wished me happiness. I thought she was just saying it in anger, and that she was going back to her hometown to see her mom in a fit of pique, so I texted her, saying the dog really misses her, but honestly, it was me who missed her and wished she'd come home soon. I never imagined those would be her last words. Later, I discovered the one who started the fire was he, Yaya, the very person I